Hello guys, in today's video I'm gonna break down one costly BI mistake that you're probably doing that can literally cost you millions and millions of dollars in revenue. I'm gonna showcase you the real life example that we've gone through, and we've gone through this multiple times with our clients, and I'm gonna showcase you the mistake you should avoid, how to avoid it, and why these mistakes happens over and over again, right? And let's go straight into it. Now, just about a bit about the context regarding the whole video is that we were working with multiple clients and we see this mistake done over and over again. Majority of times this happens when a company tries to become more data driven. They have a lot of data, their data is scattered all across the organization, and often than not they try to implement some tool off the market, either that be off the shelf, some type of BI tool, and they try to do it themselves, but then they result in doing that specific particular mistake, right? Recently, we worked with one financial service and accounting firm basically in the finance industry, and they came to us thinking they need a new BI tool, a data tool, and so on and so forth. Now, what was the problem? We started to diagnose the situation and we figure out what happened. Now, why should you even care, or why should you even listen to me? I'm the CEO and the founder here at Stella. We are a data analytical BI and AI firm, which we drove over plus 20 million in revenue for companies pure by bridging the gap between data and business, basically implementing end-to-end data analytical ecosystems, advanced analytical solutions, AI solutions, and so on and so forth, basically helping companies increase their data maturity curve and, of course, align data and AI to propel their growth, increase their revenue, increase their profits, and so on and so forth, right? Now, what we found out is that their entire model data was a data model was built inside of the BI tool, which is not good, not ideal. Now, they had a lot of data from their ERP systems stored in the MS SQL, plus they had other data sources all just scattered around the company and the enterprise. Now, which doesn't really enable the users to access the data, gather insights, analyze the data, and of course create analytical dashboards with proven use cases if they want to create it for either that be internal reporting, external reporting, and so on and so forth, right? Now, what was their data stack in the before or the transformation? They had just an MS SQL database directly integrated with Power BI. Now, why this is not ideal, as you probably see, their entire data model was built directly in the BI tool. And of course, the other data sources were just simply not connected, which just majority of the users just end up exporting that inside of the Excel, trying to gain the data from multiple different data silos, which just becomes so much time intensive, and of course doesn't really give them 360 view of their data. Now, this problem resulted in a big problem, which basically turned into slow loading times in their current reports, and of course just to gain data, access to the data and see it just became so manually and time intensive. Scalability is just because they were handling multiple millions of rows, gigabytes of data. The reports were slow, as I said. The ingestion times were just slow, and they just couldn't go through the amount of data manually, because even Excel and spreadsheets start to slow down and crash. Inability to handle data growth, I just said this. And of course, inability to handle data growth. That means that they really didn't think about the future. They just wanted to have something in place at that time, but that current infrastructure just didn't hold. Inaccurate data, because at scale, what we see often what happens is that when you have data model built inside of the BI tool, there is no governance and no standardization involved. And what happens, it happens a lot of misalignment. Another metric might be calculated in a different way in another report, and another metric might be calculated in a different report, because there is there's a conflict of interest, there is no standardization, there is no business glossaries, and each stakeholder might interpret different metric in their own different way. And at scale, when somebody comes on the board meeting and start presenting the metrics, everybody's confused and start pointing the fingers out at the data analyst or the analytical expert, right? Now, no insights, of course, because you're not having 360 view of your data from the multiple data sources. You just simply cannot comprehend of what's happening, why it happened, and at the end, you cannot really think about implementing any more advanced solutions as AI, machine learning, forecasting, and so on and so forth, because you don't really have the data structured, modeled inside of the data warehouse, ready to be used for business producing outcomes, okay, for the initiatives that will really increase your data maturity curve. Now, what was the solution that we implemented? We fixed and implemented a robust data stack. Okay, we implemented a scalable data stack, personalized, okay, custom made for their team, and of course, model the data inside of the data warehouse, right? Okay, we model the data inside of the semantic layer inside of the data warehouse, and which is then being ready to export either in the BI tool being used in the AI and machine learning initiatives, data marts, and so on and so forth. Now, the first step we conducted a data strategy assessment. We conducted the assessment with stakeholders, interviews. We interviewed every single one of their managers, executives, to understand their decision-making processes, their questions they want to have it answered, and what are their current priorities and responsibilities. This is one of the most important crucial steps, because the data is only valuable if it by how many decisions and how many actions it provides you with, right? We also utilize our framework, which is removing all nice to have surface level metrics, which are not really important or moving needle to their company and their role. Now, the step 2 was technology assessment. We conducted the technology assessment to understand what are the data sources, how is the data quality inside of these data sources, are they prone to human touch, meaning are they affected by human input. We understand and the frequency, the consistency of their data inside of the data sources, and we implemented and understand what data stacks are they currently using, as I said in the before, and we, based on that information, we picked the correct tools and softwares, the data softwares that align their current goals, needs, and priorities. In this specific example, that was custom Python scripts for ETL integrating MS SQL and other various data sources. And of course, BigQuery as a chosen data warehouse, which is the standard. And of course, Looker Studio as the analytical tool. All of these solutions and tools are specific made for their goals, needs, and priorities, meaning we are tech agnostic. We only recommend what really works for you and your current situation, right? Now, just to understand how this looks, let's say this is the goal of the transformation, what we are trying to achieve, and what we achieved. Basically, MS SQL and of course other data sources directly integrated inside of the BigQuery by the Python script, raw modeled, and of course in the semantic layer, and then we export, and that the data is then exported either in the Looker Studio for creating new reports, utilizing for AI and machine learning initiatives, exporting inside of the data marts, and so on and so forth, right? Basically, to be able to have data standardized all in one place, unified, so it can be used to analyze the data and of course gather insights. Now, the step 3, we went into the development, which is basically developing custom Python scripts for ETL. We developed the custom ETLs to fetch, transform, and load the data inside of the BigQuery. And the custom ETL was chosen just because of the cost effectiveness and of course some future plans and initiatives that we had in mind. We used batching processing opposed from streaming to load the data inside of the BigQuery, just because there was no real use cases of having streaming, just to reduce cost and of course be a little bit more feasible. Step 4, data warehouse implementation. We created and implemented data warehouse, which is the BigQuery, as I said. We had the data from various sources already stored inside of the BigQuery from the custom development ETLs that we done. As you can see here, the tables raw source 1 and so on and so forth, right? That's the acronym how we start to load the data inside of the data warehouse, so everybody knows that's raw data. Now, data step 5, data modeling. Design well-structured data models inside of the data warehouse. We calculated each metric, each business question that should be answered inside of the data warehouse, making sure that there is no necessary need to calculate metrics inside of the BI tool and not to fix that specific mistake, right? This way also they can download their the data from inside of the data marts, inside of their most favorite tools like Excel sheets, which basically allows them to play with data on more granular scale, which is very important, because that's what we want to achieve. We want to enable companies and users to be really data driven, right? Now, then step 6, we connected to the Looker Studio. We directly integration because it's all on the GCP cloud platform, and of course then we create various custom analytical dashboards, reports, and so on and so forth, which enable the end users to answer the key business questions on a daily basis. And the last steps, maintenance iterations, which, as you know, with data, the goal and analytics and AI initiatives is goals to achieve product maturity as fast as possible, meaning the end solution should be adopted to the team as fast as possible, meaning working in terms of iterations, maintaining the solution, and of course constantly improving, because if data doesn't adapt to your goals, needs, and priorities, it's simply worthless. Now, let's go to the what they're able to achieve with this, with of course the scalability. They're finally able to ingest loads amount of data volume, and of course be secure for the future. Performance, the reports load under 5 seconds, which is the most ideal, and of course they save viewer plus hundreds of hours on manual processes. Data consistency, they're able to finally rely on the data and the metrics, because we interviewed their stakeholders, executives, we conducted and developed certain governance documentations as business glossaries, data dictionaries, and of course because of the data model inside of the data warehouse, metrics are already calculated, and there is no need to calculate it inside of the BI tool again, right? Maintainability, because the data model is already created inside of the data warehouse, like a semantic layer, they just can create multiple dashboards, reports, even though we don't recommend to get too much into that because you're just going to get overcrowded with the reports with no use cases. Every single report should have you proven use case and a right to it. But what I'm trying to say, they're able to create multiple reports and dashboards literally just by creating and connecting the data source over and over again without needing to dig deep into SQL, Python, and so on and so forth. Basically, really as close as to being self-service. Increased data maturity. They're able to finally move inside of their graph chart of increasing the data maturity and getting to that step of implementing more advanced solutions as AI, machine learning, and so on and so forth, right? And of course, the last step, which is the most important step, after finally able to gather the insights of what happened, why it happened, what is important, okay, what might happen in the future, what are the next steps they should do, and so on and so forth, right? Now, this is the benefits, okay, the end result they're able to get. Now, conclusion, what was the mistake? Avoid the costly BI mistake, basically creating a data model and modeling the data inside of the BI tool, calculating metrics inside of the BI tool directly, right? Implement scalable data stack. Now, if you're by chance trying to solve this problem, or you're increasing when you want to decrease your churn, decrease your costs, increase your EBITDA profits, and of course gain and increase your data maturity curve, and to gain an edge in your marketplace by implementing data analytical initiatives, dashboards, AI solutions, and so on and so forth, machine learning solutions, you can book a call with our exploration team, and we will provide you with a free data strategy assessment with proven data, AI, BI use cases that you can implement straight away, and of course achieve all of that results aligning with your core business objectives and priorities that you currently have. And you can also check our other videos and see us on the other channels like newsletters, YouTube, Twitter, and so on and so forth. See you again.